In 1931, a team of British mountaineers was lost in a high-altitude whiteout. Descending from Mount Comet, Frank Smythe and his team navigated a landscape of ice and rock, where a single misstep meant disappearing into the snow. But as the team descended, the fog broke to reveal a lush green trough. Below them sat a valley carpeted in pink and yellow flowers, hidden between the towering walls of the Zanskar and Great Himalaya ranges. Western botanical science recorded this as a serendipitous discovery. However, local communities had long revered the landscape as a sacred site, the mythological playground of the goddess Nanda Devi. This site represents a geographical anomaly, a fragile biological haven functioning within a high-altitude fortress. At the base of the mountains, the geography is predictable. The sub-Himalayan Terai Arc of Jim Corbett National Park is defined by deep alluvial soils, deposited over millennia of riverine flooding. These lowlands act as a massive biological sink. The nutrient-rich plains support high-density vegetation, sustaining megafauna like the Asian elephant and the Bengal tiger. But the Valley of Flowers sits at 3,500 meters. How does an ecosystem this biologically dense thrive at an altitude where resources are typically scarce and the growing season is truncated? The mechanism behind this survival is a system of deep-time natural engineering. During the Pleistocene epoch, massive trunk glaciers acted as geological grinders, carving deep U-shaped troughs through the Himalayan massif. This created a hanging valley. A large trunk glacier erodes bedrock quickly, while the smaller tributary glacier carves a shallower path. When the ice retreated, it left the tributary floor suspended. A steep vertical cliff now separates the upper valley from the deeper gorge below. This topographical barrier physically isolated the local flora. Trapped within these high-altitude walls, plants underwent sympatric speciation, evolving into highly specialized endemic species found nowhere else on Earth. While these plants require constant hydration, stagnant water is a threat. In shallow alpine soils, poor drainage leads to root hypoxia, effectively drowning the flora. The Pushpawati River functions as the valley's drainage engine. During the summer monsoon, it rapidly channels excess runoff away from the plateau, maintaining an oxygenated environment for the fragile root systems. The river also regulates the local atmosphere. As icy glacial meltwater meets the warming mountain air, it creates a temperature differential. This creates a persistent mist that shields the valley. This cloud cover mitigates solar evaporation, ensuring delicate herbs remain hydrated even under intense radiation. Altitude dictates the valley's layout. Between 3,200 and 3,500 meters, a subalpine belt of birch and fir trees acts as a buffer, intercepting heavy snow and stabilizing the soil on steeper gradients. Just above this, the lower alpine zone holds the deepest soils. This is the ecological heart of the valley, where centuries of accumulated glacial till support the densest flowering communities. Past 3,700 meters, the soil thins into stone deserts. Temperatures drop sharply, and the vegetation must adapt to high-velocity winds and increased UV exposure. The blue Himalayan poppy is a specialist of this extreme zone. It uses a robust taproot to anchor itself into nutrient-poor rocky substrates, where other species cannot take hold. Every few hundred meters of elevation acts as an evolutionary filter, forcing plants to adopt entirely different survival mechanics. Because snow buries the valley for 7 months of the year, the plants have evolved highly compressed life cycles. There is no single moment when the entire valley blooms at once. Instead, different species partition the time. By staggering their blooming periods, they minimize competition for pollinators that are only active during brief windows of clear weather. July brings the first monsoon hydration, sparking a landscape of purples and whites. This leads directly into the peak of the valley's productivity in August. Under heavy mist and warm days, the valley floor transitions into vibrant pinks. High near the ridgelines, the sacred yellow Brahmakamal reaches its full bloom. By September, the monsoon abates and the colors shift to burnt orange. the plants rapidly produce high-calorie berries, providing a critical food source for Asiatic black bears before the winter freeze begins. This rapid color shift is a biological engine racing to complete its work before the ice returns. The isolation of this valley has preserved a unique repository of alpine pharmacognosy, including over 45 species used in traditional medicine. Scientists use this site as a global benchmark because it bridges the eastern and western Himalayan biogeographic regions. By monitoring how these specific microclimates respond to change, researchers can track environmental shifts across the entire mountain range. This fleeting burst of high-altitude life is the result of millions of years of rock, ice, and water colliding in a single